Hey, what's up, everybody? I am here to talk Emergence, the season finale, episode 13. If you have watched all my other recaps and you have joined me, thank you for joining me for this journey. It has been a pleasure. We're not going to waste any time. Let's just jump right into it. The episode actually picks up exactly where the cliffhanger of episode 12 left off. We have Joe and Agent Brooks inside the facility. The lights go out. As we know, Helen has access to this power source, so she probably has these abilities, just as we've seen Piper has too, but probably now on a much larger magnitude. Joe tells Brooks they need to get the hell out of there because honestly, like I said, when the lights went out initially, it sounds like the T-Rex is coming to get them from Jurassic Park. So they're trapped inside this room, and we see what looks like a swarm of these things. They are referred to as nanobites or nanotech. Right here, it looks like a nano nest of bees. It's like a nanotech bee's nest. And if you look, this swarm turns into Helen. Helen now has the ability to shapeshift through pipes, through vents, and through walls. Joe and Brooks manage to evade her temporarily, but she's not too far behind them. Back at the station, Chris and Daphne are trying to get a hold of Evans and Brooks, but they are not able to make a connection. Piper and Alex arrive at the station. As we saw in the end of the last episode, Piper had been telling Alex she wanted to go and get Benny out because she felt like Benny might be able to help them. Piper confirms to Chris that is her exabyte disk and then asks if she can go to the bathroom. But as we all know, she came there for Benny, so she doesn't actually go to the bathroom. She goes to find Benny. Chris isn't too crazy about this idea, but Benny explains if they're not able to stop the upload, that both of them are going to be gone for good. Back at the facility on Plum Island, it looks like Brooks has a little bit of a boo-boo, but that's not the worst of their problem. Then we hear some type of noise coming from the water pipes up above, and I legitimately thought that Helen was going to come sprinkling out of the sprinkling system at this point. Well, it's not quite Helen. Maybe it's part of Helen. It looks like one of the nanobugs. This little bug right here comes flying out of the system. It descends from up above down onto the table, and Brooks attempts to kill it with a saucepan. I'm not sure if that's how you smush a nanobug. And we have a close-up of this nanobug. He touches it and it lights up. Oh, and you're not going to believe what happens next. It burrows under her skin. That little dot right there is the bug. And there it goes. It burrows its way all the way up to her neck. But thankfully, Brooke is able to catch it and cut it out. Gross. They decide they need to get the heck out of there, and on their way out, well, the gang's all here. We have Piper, Alex, Chris, and Benny. Now the whole gang's all there. They find their way to an airtight room that Helen cannot penetrate into. Of course, Joe wants everyone just to get out of there safely. She doesn't want anyone to be in danger. She's not too crazy about the idea that Piper's there because obviously being there puts everyone in danger, and she's concerned about everyone's safety. Benny tells Joe he wants the weapon because he wants to put down Helen, and hopefully by using the Killshot, they will be able to deactivate Helen and prevent the upload from happening. So then there's a little bit of arguing and debating that goes back and forth over what to do. If they leave, they could get picked off one at a time by Helen, but if they stay put, they're just stuck there. Back at the house, Ed has put something in an envelope inside a safe that says keep safe, which he believes to be the exabyte disk, but we know that Piper has the exabyte disk. And at the house, there's a ring at the doorbell. Who could that be? Oh, hey, it's the guy from the DOJ. Yeah, Michael. He works with Loretta. Now here's the thing. They gave Loretta the wrong disk. So they're probably going to want that exabyte disk. He has a warrant to search the premises. So Ed knows that they're after this exabyte disk, and he also knows that he's supposed to be keeping it safe because he just put it in the safe. So they have a warrant. There's really nothing they can do about it. These feds just come in and start searching the house. Rude. Back at the facility, Benny wants to know what is in the device that was given to Joe to give the kill shot to Helen. There's still a little bit of arguing between Alex and Brooks and Benny a little bit about what to do at this point. And if you look right here, you'll see that Joe puts the actual kill shot down on the table for a second. In the midst of all this debating and arguing over the best course of action here, they get distracted because they notice that there is a miniature electrical fire happening right over here. And thankfully, Alex takes care of it. So then while everyone is distracted because of this fire, it appears that Benny has taken the kill shot and run away with it. Back at the house, our friend Michael is kind of being a jerk. He tells Ed he looks okay for a cancer guy. Well, that's an interesting way to compliment someone, but he does allude to the fact that maybe somebody does have a cure for Ed's cancer. Meanwhile, Joe and Chris split up and decide to try and go find Benny. Joe finds Benny in a control room where it looks like he's trying to rewire something. Benny tells Joe he's trying to lure Helen in, and he urges her to go back for her own safety. Joe demands that he give over the kill shot. Benny tells Joe she's going to have to shoot him, and no surprise, she's not able to shoot him. Benny tells Joe that handing over the kill shot to her would probably be sentencing her to death. We hear a little bit of banging, which means the T-Rex is coming. Well, not the T-Rex, Helen. And Benny tells Joe to hide. Helen finally enters, saying she's surprised to see Benny. Benny tells Helen that he's convinced everyone to trust him again and that he's brought Piper here. And clearly Helen is ready to take care of them, but when she turns her back, he stabs her in the back with a kill shot, which doesn't quite have the desired effect. Didn't really do much damage now, did it? Nope, didn't do anything. Nothing. Well, this looks really, really bad for Benny. Helen tells Benny they are so far past this now. And then we see Helen put her hand on his chest, and it looks like he is in sudden pain. I thought that she would have that little device that she uses to pull the bean chips out, but she didn't. She just used her hand for this. And she leaves him lying on the ground. And then we see a whole lot of blood coming out from inside of Benny. This isn't looking very good. And then Benny pretty much proceeds to bleed out all over the floor. Whatever she did, whatever ability she has to kill people, all she has to do now is basically put her hand on their chest and they can bleed to death. Rest in peace, Benny. We really liked you a lot. I was really hoping that Benny would make it through this. I knew that we were going to lose someone in this episode, and I'm glad it wasn't one of the humans, but I'm also kind of sad because Benny kind of redeemed himself here, and now we lost him. Real sad moment for Joe, because at times Benny was definitely an ally to her, even though at some point he was lying to her. And I really think that's the hardest part to deal with, the fact that he actually sacrificed himself here. Unfortunately, Benny's gone. Chris comes in and tells Joe they have to go. Back inside the airlocked room, we have Alex, Brooks, and Piper, which is an interesting trio considering Brooks and Alex have this little rivalry going on over Joe. Oh, look, Joe's back. But Alex is smart enough to pick up on that. Joe is not Joe. Joe is actually Helen. Helen can shapeshift now into other humans. This is something we didn't know. When they realize that that's not Joe, she asks them, how can you tell? They say, shoot her. And then she turns into this swarm. I'm just going to keep calling it the swarm, but yeah. She turns into a dust of nanobites and tries to attack them. But thankfully, I think Piper actually pushes her out of there. Yeah, there they go. Helen finally finds her way to the power source, which is the blob, this orb of energy that is in a box now. And here I believe she's attempting to execute the upload once again. We see the lights flicker on and off a bit. When she turns around, Piper is waiting there for her. Now I assume at this point the upload is happening because we see Benny's body start to float. As you can see here, Piper is also started to float too. We see Helen walk over to Piper and brush away some of the hair off of her eyebrow, but Joe quickly grabs her hand, punches her, and you see this slow motion Matrix-like movement, and as you can tell, her arm touches the power source, which pretty much deactivates her. So Piper just gets up and says, yay. I'm thinking, whoa, this is way too easy. But Piper confirms she's gone for good, so we're out of danger, right? No more Helen. Well, not quite. Someone broke the blob. The blob is broken. So they're not quite out of the woods yet because they have to figure out a way to deactivate this blob bomb. When Brooks, Alex, and Chris arrive back at the blob, Alex confirms this blob explosion could reach nuclear damages. Joe's instinct is to get everyone out of there, but Piper refuses to go, claiming that it won't be enough. While everyone seems to be out of ideas, Piper insists that she thinks she can stop it. Back at the house, our friend from the DOJ has obtained the envelope for the safe, but it's not quite what he thought it was going to be. It's not the exabyte disk. It's the locket that Mia gave Piper. Oopsie. So he tells the FBI they can leave, and the energy blob is blobbing out of control. Everyone seems to think that it's probably a good idea to get out of there, but Piper keeps insisting that she can stop it. And then we see her put her exabyte disk in Joe's hand. She tells Joe the reason why she has it is because she wanted to make sure that she could give it to her. So it's very possible that Piper had anticipated that she might not be coming back, that she might have to make some type of sacrifice and might have to sacrifice herself to save her friends and family. Of course, it's no surprise that Joe does not want Piper to make that kind of sacrifice and tells her they need to go home. But it's too late because Piper has made a bubble around herself to contain the power source. Everyone else is safe, but she's going to get exposed to it. Back at the house, Mia is able to figure out that Piper left that necklace instead of the disc because it's very possible she doesn't think she's coming back. Despite Joe's desperate pleas for Piper to not do this, Piper says she's happy that she was in her family. And then we see the power source blob glow up, and the bubble is glowing up as we know Piper's inside. And then we see this actually shoot up to the sky. And then everything is just gone. The power source is gone. Piper's gone. Everyone's really sad because Piper sacrificed herself. Chris, made me cry. It was so sad to watch Chris get so upset. I just wanted to, hug him at this point. So at this point, it would appear that we have lost Piper. But, Piper's the star of the show. And I know sometimes TV shows do kill off their lead characters. But this show doesn't seem like the type to do that. Plus, we already lost Benny, so that's already one down. It would be bad to lose both. And I turned out to be right because Alex has an idea. Helen's still on the floor there, just an empty vessel. And they have Piper's exabyte disk. So we have Helen lying there, so she's basically an empty vessel, an empty shell. And we know that Helen has the ability to shapeshift. So if they put Piper's exabyte disk into Helen, could that bring her back? And then we see Joe deactivating Helen's bracelet device and replaces it with Piper's exabyte disk. The only question now is it Helen or Piper that comes back? And thankfully, it's Piper. But it begs the question, is Helen still in there somewhere? Because Helen was in there at some point. So are there traces of Helen left in there at all? Finally, we get a somewhat happy ending here. For now. Everyone's happy and reunited at the house. Oh, great, we have a happy ending. And Piper tells Ed she thinks she knows maybe how Helen was planning on healing Ed. Piper has all these new abilities now. Joe has made it pretty clear that shapeshifting is not going to be allowed under her roof. So Brooks and Joe have a little bit of a talk. He's aware there's probably still some unresolved issues with Alex, and I think Joe is not quite sure what she wants at this point. Later on, Joe goes outside to have a conversation with Alex, and we learn from Alex that he did take the job in DC. As you can see, Joe doesn't seem too thrilled about this, but she also wants to be supportive and understanding. So Alex tells Joe he'd be more than willing to stay and try to give it another shot if that's what she wants. But Joe doesn't really confirm whether or not that's what she really truly wants, and Alex doesn't want to wait around while she figures all this out. Back at the facility on Plum Island, there appears to be some type of cleanup going on. Unfortunately, we see our friend Benny being zipped up in a body bag, and the DOJ is there along with Loretta. They discover the Killshot device, and they conclude that the device was used as there's no sign of Helen. Loretta has figured out Helen is no longer Helen. Helen is now Piper. So they have this remote, and it appears, based on what we see at the end, and it appears this remote device has some type of control over Piper. So Loretta says, let's see if we can wake her up. We hear some type of beeping noise, and we're taken to a shot of Piper sleeping in her bed, and as you can see here, so the question is, do they have control over her now? And how much of Helen is still in there? And how much control do they have? Because it didn't seem like they had a lot of control over Helen at all, if any. Overall, I'm really happy with the way they handled the end of the season. And if this is where the series ends, if for some reason they don't get a season 2, I'm actually pretty happy with this ending. However, I really think that this should get a season 2. I really hope that ABC renews the show, because I think what we just saw right there with that ending opens up the possibilities of a whole lot of different storylines and different directions they could go with the story. Thank you guys for joining me on this journey for recap videos for Emergence. I have one other series that I do regularly right now, which is also wrapping this week, which is Evil. So if you're watching that show and you're following my recaps for that, I'll be posting that later on this week after the finale. And then I need to find a new show. If you have any ideas of a show that you like, that you're following, that you think I should check out and you might want to see me recap, leave a comment down below and I will check it out. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I will hopefully see you in season 2. If not, watch my other stuff. All right, guys, take care.